Welcome to Steps Forward with Ricky, a weekly walking podcast designed to help you take steps forward in your life and your day.
Hello, happy Monday. Welcome to Steps Forward with Ricky. I am Ricky. If you are new here, this is a walking podcast, which is pretty self-explanatory, but happy to explain it to you. We walk as we listen. We put one foot in front of the other, and that's just what we do. So I appreciate you listening wherever you're at, but I want you to move your body. I want you to get your body moving. I want you to get your energy up. I want you to see what it's like to put one foot in front of the other. Because if you're in a space right now where the idea of taking a step forward feels hard, I want you to know that you can and that you can do it for 20 minutes. So get your shoes on, do what you got to do, but get moving. Monday, fresh day, fresh start of the week. And, you know, I'm always excited to be here. I got to say, I'm so grateful. I really am for every single person that takes the time to walk with me, to listen, to subscribe, to send me a message. You have no idea how much it means to me. On a personal level, on a professional level, just how much it means to me that you're enjoying this podcast. And I just had to say that because it's not even about me. It's really just about this idea that when you have an idea, I mean, this idea that I had for my podcast, it was such a strong, intuitive feeling. If you don't know the story, I'll just tell you really quickly because I wanted to inspire you to listen to yourself. And I wanted to inspire you to chase after your ideas and that your ideas aren't dumb. Maybe all of them won't work out, but the real ones, the ones you feel deep within your soul that kind of show up randomly, or maybe the ones that keep showing up in your head, they're not random. They're for you. And they're for you to decide what you want to do with them. So I was on Instagram. This was in July. And I was just looking through Instagram and I came across this person that I knew. We had mutual friends and he was a podcast producer. He's like, I'm starting to produce podcasts. And he lived near me in Michigan. And I was like, oh, you know, I thought about starting a podcast. I didn't really know what I would start the podcast on or what I would do it on. But I always had this feeling of starting a podcast. And I was like, oh, I'm going to hire this person to start a podcast. Like, what? I didn't have a name. I didn't have a concept. I just had a feeling. And it was the first time in a very long time that I had a strong intuitive feeling. And it sort of felt like it was bigger than me. Like, just do it, Ricky. Take the first step. Hire this person. You'll figure the details out later. I know that sounds a little crazy, but that's kind of how it happened. And so I hired him and he was like, so what's your podcast going to be about? And I was like, I don't really know yet. Give me a couple days. He was like, okay. And I went on a walk like you're doing now, like you better be doing now. And I had this crazy, epiphany. I don't know what the hell they call it. I was like, holy shit. Steps forward. One foot in front of the other. Because my whole life, everyone's life, my whole life, my theme especially has been this theme of putting one foot in front of the other. And I'm a big walker. And, you know, how do we create something that's helpful for other people to move their bodies, to move their emotions, to take steps forward in their life? And I was like, Steps Forward with Ricky, a walking podcast. And that was it. I called him and I said, hey, I got the name. I got the concept. That's all I got, though. I don't have any other detail figured out. I don't know if I'm going to have guests. I don't really know how long the episodes are going to be. I want them to be sort of short, but let's just get moving. And 5 days later, I was in the studio. And now it's ranked. This podcast is ranked. Like, holy fucking shit. It's ranked in the top 200 in USA, the top 100 in Australia. It's ranked in Britain. I mean, it's ranked in Canada just because I believed in myself and the idea that I had. And I believed that you would love it too. So cheers to our ideas. And don't tell anyone about your ideas. If you feel like the people you're going to tell are going to bring you down, like you go after it. You believe in yourself. Sometimes our ideas are bigger than us. You know, it's like you don't have to know every detail to know that it's a good idea. You just know that you got to go after it. So go after it. You know this is not what the podcast is about. If you're an avid listener, you know I like to ramble and talk about random shit before I actually talk about the thing I'm going to talk about. So I just wanted to say thank you and chase after your ideas. And don't tell everyone about your ideas, because some people are going to bring you down. And if you're not in the best place in your life and you don't have that like strong confidence about yourself yet, you could get persuaded. Don't get persuaded. Fucking do it. Believe in yourself. Please. The world needs more better ideas and good people who execute them. So it's been a big week for me at a personal level, professionally, for the podcast, for my TikTok. I love TikTok. If you're a TikTok listener and this is where you found me on TikTok, like, I love you. I appreciate you. You're great. And I've realized that there's a big problem. There's a big problem with weed. And weed is the thing, right? Obviously, it's the things underneath, the things that we're using, but there's a big problem. And people are suffering. And I got to talk about it. I got to talk about it more. And I was looking at this list the other day, and you might find this interesting. So I used to smoke, obviously, for 15 years on and off. And I have all these notes in my phone about, I'm going to quit today, and this is the day, and maybe I should tell someone, and today's day one of me not smoking. Like, all I have to do today is not smoke. Like, all these different notes. And I found this note the other day that I wrote in 2020. And it says, the way marijuana makes me feel, what I feel like when I smoke. Okay? And there was like 6 things on it. It made me feel creative, confident, even keeled, calm, peaceful, excited. Think about that for 1 second. Think about why you smoke. Besides the fact that it's a pattern, an addiction, and a habit, there's something in it that's offering you a release. It's taking you away from where you're at now and putting you to where you're really trying to be. Think about that. When I read that, as the person that I am now, as having not smoked for 120 some days, as feeling the best I've ever felt in my life, when I read that, it dawned on me. I was like, holy shit. All of those things that I wrote, I felt that I couldn't do that on my own. Like, I couldn't be confident on my own, or creative, or calm, or confident in who I was, or excited. I felt so deeply that I needed something to be that person. And what I've learned from walking away from weed is that I am all of those things and more. You are all of those things and more. All the reasons I was smoking were to be these things. And I already was. And smoking actually took that away from me. Who cares if I was creative for an hour? Then I was fucking tired. Right? Made me more confident. We use things to become this other person, to escape the person that we are, only to realize that we're actually using that thing to become more of the person that we are. But we're already that person. And when I read that, it made me feel like, wow, I bet so many other people have these words on their list of why they smoke and what it does for them. And if we could only remind them that they already are those things, and even if you can't have access to them right away, because listen, when I took this step forward and I walked away from weed, it's not like I woke up the next day and I was confident and I was this and I was that. It was like I opened the door to be all those things on the list. The door was open now. That's what I did. But just because you stop smoking doesn't mean the door flies open. It cracks open. And then you got to go to the next part, because the next part is the most important part. What happens after you stop? I mean, I think a lot of people are just struggling to stop. So, just to touch on that really quickly, like, I'm going to do a bunch of episodes on these. They're all different kinds of steps, and everyone is a different process. You have to be ready, and you have to be educated if you're going to stop something like this, because you have to understand the science behind it. So if you're trying to stop smoking, and even if you're not there yet, I want you to research and understand addiction and the brain and trauma and dopamine and weed. Really understand what it does to your body and your mind and what's going to happen when you take it away. Because you're going to go through all these different things, and you have to understand from a scientific level why they are happening. so that your emotions don't take over. So that's step number one. Step number one really was me understanding the science behind why I smoked, and addiction and trauma and ADHD and dopamine and weed and this circle of like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's bigger than me. So that is the first step, is not necessarily quitting. It's really understanding why you smoke and the science behind it so that you know when you stop, when you are ready, whenever that is. You can have the science to fall back on and not just your emotions. Like, oh, okay, I'm going to stop and I feel this way after I stop because my dopamine levels are low. What is dopamine? What is this? What is that? So that was really super helpful for me. And when I did understand the science behind it and then I could take a step forward and I ultimately did quit, of course I had cravings. Of course I felt shitty. I mean, you take something away from your life that you've been using for so long, you think you're going to feel like fucking, I don't know, like you want to go to a party? No, you're like, please leave me alone. I feel sad. Some people have physical withdrawals. I did not. Some people have really, really bad emotional withdrawals. I did. I had bad anxiety. I was like, you could say anything to me and I was like, go fuck yourself. Like, totally, 100%. But what helped me get through that was understanding that that was normal because I had learned about the brain, the body, and trauma and weed. So that was really super helpful for me. And moving my body and walking and working out and dancing and doing things to move the energy, right? But to go back to that list, let's go back to that list of all the things that I thought I had could only be if I was high. Like it took, like I would smoke and I had this like very tunnel vision, right? Like play the whole script. I only played half the script. I would get high and then I would be like, yes, I'm going to get high because I'm going to feel confident and calm and peaceful and excited and creative. And I did. And that's the mind fuck, is that you do. It is true. You do. But for how long? How long do we feel those things? An hour, 2 hours, 3 hours until we got to get high again. So the high is a constant. You don't stay high. You got to keep getting high. And that's where it becomes an addiction. It doesn't start off as an addiction. It starts off as something that you enjoy. Something you do. And then it becomes a habit. And it becomes this cycle. Then it becomes this addiction. Physical, emotional, and mental. And when I read that list, I was just taken back. And for a lot of reasons. For one, just like, wow. You know, when you look at something from a different perspective, you see it. I wanted so badly to stop. I wanted so badly to quit. I tried so hard to tell myself, like, you can do this. You know, and I wasn't there yet. I didn't have enough knowledge. I wasn't ready. You have to be ready. You do have to be a little ready. You don't have to be 100% ready, but you got to be more ready to quit than to stay high. I just needed to be like 3% ready to quit, more than I wanted to stay where I was at. And I did. I really did. I did not want to be in this fucking pain anymore. I did not want to keep falling asleep at night knowing that I told myself I wasn't going to smoke, and then I smoked and I had that guilt. And then it was like, how do I get back to that list? How do I get back to that list? Get me back to that list. Oh, the fastest way to get back to that list is to get high, because that's the thing that takes you to those places. But it's not true. It is not true at all. It's a temporary truth. Temporary truths are not the real truths. They're like illusions. Why do you smoke? What are the positive things that it does for you? I think it's important that you recognize that. It's not real. It's just not, that's not what you want, really. But why do you smoke? What are the reasons? What does it make you feel like? I think it's good for you to know what it makes you feel like. Because then you can realize what you feel like on your own without it, and then that's the problem. The problem isn't that it makes you feel confident and excited and creative. The problem is that on your own, you don't feel that. That's the problem. But the great thing about problems is they can be solved. Understanding why you smoke is the first step. The science behind it. The second step is committing to this process that it's not going to be easy, but it's not going to be forever. Because if you think about your list of why you smoke, you realize that you have that stuff within you. but you can't get within you because you're constantly escaping. You're constantly looking outside of you. So make your list. Why do you smoke? What does it make you feel like? Who does it make you feel like? And how do we do that without it? That's the question. And you can. You 100% can, because if I can, you can. And this is not just about marijuana, right? I mean, it's about pot because it's the thing that you're addicted to and it's the thing that you use, but it's about what's underneath. So if you think that you're going to take away the pot and then that's it, like, you got to be committed to the whole process. The whole process might include therapy, might include changing some habits, moving your body more, having mantras, surrounding yourself with people that can hold you accountable. You know, personally for me, I didn't need support groups, but everyone is different. But we all have one common denominator, is that we use wherever you're at in your life, wherever you're at in your process, to escape ourselves. So the question is, how do we get back to ourselves, and how do we do it in a way that we're excited about it? And I'm going to tell you right now that when you walk away from weed, and when you walk away from anything in your life, it's going to be hard for a minute. Like a minute and 30 days. It will be. That's okay. It's really okay. Have tunnel vision. What's the list? That's your vision. All the things on your list that smoking makes you feel like, that you know that you can do on your own because you can. That's what you hold on to. You don't need a high to feel high. You don't need to get high to be confident, to be more creative, to be more productive. You really don't. It's such a bullshit. It's your body that's attached to something. It's addicted to something. You're in this cycle. It's the dopamine. It's this illusion that you need this. You need you. That's what you need. You need you. And you are there. And you keep covering it up with pot or with whatever it is in your life that you're using. When I walked away from weed and I went to therapy and I started to understand, I found my way back. And I knew that. Like, I committed to the process, right? Like, I was feeling ready, and then I learned about addiction and stuff, and then I decided to quit. And it was challenging, absolutely. But I remember thinking, like, you can't bypass this process. Like, you can't just skip this part. You know the fucking trend, like, can we skip to the good part? Like, no, you can't. You can't. You don't want to skip it. Because you got to feel, and you got to release, and you got to take steps forward, and you got to stop avoiding the discomfort. Can we skip to the good part? You want to skip past this part? Then you got to keep smoking. Because when you take something away from your life, you're going to feel the thing that you've been avoiding. You can do this. Like, I have no doubt in my mind. Because if I can do it, you can do it. And I literally didn't think that I could do it. And it's okay if you're not ready. It's okay if you're not there yet. It's okay. Just keep listening to the podcast and keep educating yourself and keep following along on my TikTok and my Instagrams, and just keep priming yourself. Like, get the information in. Like, your subconscious knows. If you're following me and you're still smoking, that's okay. It's not this black and white thing. I think it's your higher self being like, you do want that. You do want to feel better. Maybe we're not there yet, but you do want that. Remind yourself that you want that. And that if I can do it, you can do it. And we can do it together. Okay? Okay, Ricky. Great. Thanks for answering me. I hope you had a great walk. My hand hurts so bad from holding this mic. I'm on my way to California. I've ended my trip in Arizona. Well, I'll be back. And I've officially started the next part of my trip. No clue where I'm going yet. So I'll definitely keep you updated on that. But I appreciate each and every one of you, and I love you, and I truly, truly in my heart know that you can do this. Hope you had a great walk. It's a new day, a fresh start. Even if it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Thursday and you're listening to this, it's a new day and a fresh start. It always, always is. Follow along, subscribe, leave me a podcast review. It helps the podcast grow and reach more people. It would mean the whole world to me. Do it on Apple Podcasts, and that sounded so weird. Do it on Apple Podcasts, and don't just leave a rating, like actually write out a review. I know I'm really bossy. If you know me by now, it's just how I am. Anyways, take a deep breath. It's a fresh start. Remember, you can always take a step forward, and you can always change your life. You are truly the author of it. See you next Monday.